my last video for the Last 60, Best 60 2020. Thank you so much for being part of this process with me, or letting me be part of the process with you. It's always really interesting to me to share with people process or practices that have been really helpful to me, that help my life to get a little bit better. That's kind of how I started teaching yoga, was that I felt so much better. I felt very grounded and expansive at the same time, and healthy and embodied is really how I felt with yoga, which is how I started teaching it. And then with all of this, with Last 60, it was something that I have done for a long time, and I just thought, that rush and kind of urgency and I have to make my life better tomorrow because it's January 1st, or it's January 1st, so I have to be all set with my intentions. I just always felt like it was a very false setup, a setup for failure and not a setup for success, really. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to do this. And now it's, really I look at my life as getting better every day throughout the year. So I just hope that, you integrate something, and, maybe I'll see you sooner than next November. So first and foremost, congratulations on getting to the end of a really interesting year, an unforgettable year, an unprecedented year. I am not sure how everyone has been affected. And I know that, some people have lost family and friends due to COVID, and it really has shaken our world up. And I think, if anything, we need to really notice what we are capable of, and our resilience and our willingness to do something for the greater good, which may not always feel easy or simple or pleasurable. So that's big to be aware of, and how it's affected your life. And then also to realize, if a virus can affect our world as dramatically as it has, we might need to be also prepared for something else, whatever that is. I mean, for most of us, we've lived through recessions and 9/11 and, breakdowns of many different kinds. And so if this didn't rock your world in a way that made you think, I think I'll make some changes, it might be a good time to just think about that, and just think about, what part of your life do you want to make the most dramatic changes, or the most urgent changes. That's one of the reasons why looking at the Wheel of Life is so I think helpful to look at, because sometimes we look at our lives and we're like, I don't know, I just want it to be better, or oh, if only I had a better job. But look at your life as a whole. It's much more doable, and it gives us a real sense and realistic sense of what is possible in our lives. And when every week you were asked to look at a certain area, ask yourself, what's a 10 in that area look like, and what do I need to do to get that and to make that happen? Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe a year from now, or 5 years from now. Like, really give yourself some sense of perspective and where you're headed. So congratulations just on doing this, and whether you've done it every week and you've stayed up with it, or maybe you're taking the slow road and just saving it up for, your New Year's Eve or New Year's Day week kind of thing, whatever. However, maybe it's like the middle of 2021 and you're still watching these and catching up. I don't even care when you're doing this. I just care that you do it, because our lives are so precious, and that is our lives are our story to tell and to create. So however, whenever you're doing this, please reach out to me if you need any support. So So I want to congratulate you, not just for completing this, but for just entering into the process. Because as I've said in past videos, these are our last 60 days, but they're not our easiest 60 days when you're doing this work. It's just not easy to look at our lives. I would say if you interviewed or asked 10 random people in your life, less than 2 people would probably say they do some kind of review or planning, depending on what kind of circles you run in. And that's okay. It's not a good or bad. It's just like a noticing that this is not easy work. And that when you do review, plan, and reflect, to do it with a sense of kindness to yourself and willingness to grow and learn. Because what makes it not so easy is that we look back and sometimes we, feel regret, or we're like, oh, I should have done that, or I wasn't as, efficient as I could have been, or I yelled at someone. So we relive those past emotions, and sometimes we get really stuck on them. And sometimes, it's the regret or the anger, or that, oh, I felt so bad when I did that and I didn't get it. So we get stuck in the past, or we realize that there's something in the past that we might not feel so comfortable looking at. And so we just never go there, and we never do any review and planning. But I will say that the highest performers review their life. I'm talking about athletes, professional athletes. I'm talking about, executives. Like, the most important work that people do is looking at what worked, what did not work, and then let's go forward. And that's the courage to do this work, is to look at it and to go forward with a sense of, having learned, having seen what our actions led to, and choosing same or different, and knowing that what has happened in the past has been something that gives us some experience to live from and some wisdom to learn from. So notice that. And actually, interestingly, I was looking at the New York Times yesterday, and one of the top articles said something like, what we learned in 2020 that didn't have to do with COVID. And an article that came out in early 2020, like January, was about how it's a skill to be able to deal with our negative emotions. Actually, the article was about procrastination, and that procrastination was often caused by our unskillfulness at dealing with negative emotions. So I'll put the link to that because it's really interesting. And again, it's looking at, how are we getting through our emotions of the past, and able to move forward with some passion and energy and some momentum. So that's the real work of looking at our lives in this way. So what I did was I went through the past videos that I made for you in the last 2 months, and pulled out the themes to just wrap up and remind us of, what I think this year anyways could really help us to move forward with courage and with awareness and passion. So the first one that I brought up, and I brought it up several times, is about taking responsibility. And not just, this, if you signed up for this, you are self-directed, you're probably a very responsible person. I'm not saying you're not responsible, but to continue to take responsibility for our lives, and to take responsibility in a way that is choice, and, saying like, okay, I was a 2 in this area, and I want to get to a 10 someday, but it would be realistic to get to a 5 in 5 months. What do I need to do to get there? Like that kind of like, interesting. This is where I'm at, and this is where I want to go. I'm going to take some responsibility to get there. And, it's like we're living our best lives not on a whim. Like, we don't get to places on a whim. And it might look to us, when some people live their best lives, and it might look like a whim, but I will tell you that it is many, 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 many tiny decisions and consistency and habits and willingness to look at what didn't work and to make some changes. And I mean, everyone has probably heard about that story of Tiger Woods the night before the last day of a tournament, and his coach gave him a new way of swinging, and he just, like, it's the night before the last day, and he practiced that in his mind, and he won the next day. It's tiny little changes that, consistently done get us closer to where we want to be. And it's not just like, oh, I'm going to be lucky and win the lottery, or, oh, I'm the best job for me is going to find me. Like, it takes a lot of, small little consistent actions. And in another video, I'm going to talk about habits, but essentially it's really creating some good habits in our lives. The second thing that I talked a lot about, and it's funny because 5 years ago, maybe this would have been such a woo-woo concept, but like, notice your energy. Notice your own energy, notice the energy of other people, notice the activities, the places, the things, the foods that affect your energy, that take you up, that make you feel really good, the people, the places, the foods, the experiences that deplete you. Notice that and be much better. First, at just noticing, but secondly, about really creating the kind of cocktail that you want for your life. And by cocktail, I'm not talking, about a beverage. I'm really talking about, like, if it helps you to sleep 8 hours, go to bed early and wake up so that you feel refreshed. If it helps you to have more energy, to be, around people who are focused on uplifting and tell good jokes and, watch shows that are not violent, like, notice that and do that. It seems so simple, but it is quite a masterful practice of noticing our energy, what gives us energy, what maximizes our energy, what depletes our energy, the things that, kind of are slow drips and drains on our energy that after, 5 years at a job that you're like, well, it was just okay. You may not have anything left for your next chapter. So notice your energy and take responsibility for your own energy and what you bring. Even in a Zoom call, you can bring good energy to a conversation. We've noticed that. We have found that in the experiment of 2020 is that even through Zoom, even through technology, we can share, we can get good energy. Like, I found the people who give me good energy and that person is in California, and I tap into her at least 3 times a week, and that helps me. So whatever it is, find it and take responsibility for your own energy and what you bring to the people and the places where you are showing up, even when it's digital. Okay. The third thing that I may not have said this like this, but I've talked about it in different ways, is notice the stories that we tell ourselves. Notice the narratives that are kind of guiding our lives. And by that I mean, it could be simply, this, maybe let's just say luck. Oh, she's so lucky. Oh, I'm not lucky. Oh, she gets her way. Oh, I didn't get my way. And how do we explain that to ourselves? That's the story that I'm talking about in our lives. And it could be, what are our constant complaints and what are our stories around that? And, is it, oh, it's always her fault. Oh, it's always his fault. And, one, ask yourself, is it true? If you're curious about how to do this, look into Byron Katie. That's Byron, Katie, Katie. She is a Buddhist teacher, and she has this practice. It's a little bit too long to explain, but the first thing that she asks when someone is, up against a hard emotion or a hard situation is it true? And, asking yourself that, sometimes it's going to take a friend or, maybe a therapist or someone else to just say, is it true? Is it true that, everyone else is lucky and I'm not? Or is it true I don't have any other options but this job? Is it true that, you know, I, whatever. Like, ask yourself, is it true? Ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself? And is there another story that is more true? Because looking at your narrative and what's going on in here is going to give you a lot more options about choosing about what to do out there, for sure. So take a deeper look, and again, in a different way, take some responsibility for the story that we're telling ourselves in our minds. Because when we can be a lot more honest with ourselves and take more action in being a co-creator of where we're headed, we will make a difference it will make a difference for sure in how we live our daily lives. Choosing to be responsible for your outlook, choosing to be responsible for your mindset, your thoughts, choosing to be responsible for your actions comes from the story, the narrative that we're telling ourselves. So it takes some deep thought and some awareness, but just being aware is huge. And, it takes time to be aware. And it doesn't mean you have to meditate for an hour. It doesn't mean you have to journal for an hour. It just means that when things get a little upset or a little revved up, like, take some time, take 5 deep breaths and listen to what you're telling yourself. Ask yourself, is it true, or is there another way that I can understand the situation? Like, oh, why am I always getting upset with so-and-so? And, they must not care. Is it true? Is it true that they don't care? And one thing I'm giving up for 2021 is thinking I know why people are choosing either to not wear masks or not social distance. Like, at first, because of my parents, they're so frail, I am super, super cautious. And when other people are not, I think that they don't care about life. I think that, I used to think that they are being irresponsible, that they're being whatever, they don't know. And now I'm letting go of thinking that I know why they're doing that and being judgmental, and I'm taking more responsibility for me and my life and what I can control. So, I'll let you know how it goes, but that's one thing that I'm letting go of in terms of a story and the narrative that I'm telling myself. The fourth thing that I mentioned and continued to weave in, but it was one of the first things that I talked about in the video about relationships, was about communication and being much more clear and much more focused in our communication of our expectations and what we want. Remember, I was telling you the story, the coffee. I want coffee, but is it a medium or a large? And do you want room for cream? And, is it hot or cold? Like just making those little nuances more clear in our communications will make it more satisfying for us, and then also more satisfying for the people in your lives, because you're more clear about what you're saying and what you're asking for and what you need. Communication is definitely an art form and a skill. So practice your communication. Don't think that you're not able to communicate and so you can't do it. Just start by noticing when you get a little disappointed, and if you were clear about your communication in that situation. It really is something that seems simple, and again, it's simple but not easy. So maybe take a communications course. I'm taking a communications course actually, and it's around the skills of building a network, but it's also about serving people. So there's courses for everything, and if you need a course, let me know. If you want any resources, I do a lot of research on things like this. And then I wanted to just kind of wrap up that when I invited you to Last 60, Best 60, what I knew for sure was that it would be your best 60, not because of me, not because I had some secret and I have, like, we're going to have a party every day. That's not the best 60. The best 60 to me, and it's all subjective, but it's just that you take a look at your life and choose where you want to go. Look at, what do my relationships look like? How am I scoring work and family and fun and adventure and home life, and what does a 10 look like? And I'm going to choose that. Like, I know I'm at a 2, but I'm going to get to a 10. Like, that choice makes it your best life. It's not because I had any secrets or any tips on how to make your home feel, so good and so clean. I don't. I'm still working on mine. But I do know that the best life is where you take action and you have choice and you have responsibility and you feel empowered. That's the best life for me. So think about that. Think about living your best life every day. And join me again next year for Last 60, Best 60. Actually, my next video is going to be January 12th, but I'm going to mention that in a little bit. Think about how you want to spend your time. And I don't mean that in a very glib way. I do mean, like, if your relationships for example, in the area of relationships, what relationships are important, and are you spending time on those, in those, with those people that you care about and love? Because it's really easy to just, spend 2 hours scrolling or reading or watching CNN or whatever you gets your mind going. It's easy to let time slip away, but we have opportunities. So choose well. That will make your best 60. That will make your best day, for sure. And if you can have a good day, you can have a very, very good life. I will say, in terms of going forward, and I'm not going to rush anyone into doing this at all. In my email last night, I was sharing that last night and today is the full moon, and that energy of full moon on a monthly basis is kind of when we have time to reflect and review, and really the sense of the word is harvest what we've been sowing along the way. And so I want to really let yourself, so I really want to encourage you to use the next 2 weeks to really focus on bringing this year to a very good close. And that could mean writing it down for yourself and just reflecting on what was the highlights of January and February, and go month to month. It could be, finishing up your Christmas cards or holiday cards, and if you do that, or just sending a message or a video message to someone that, made a difference in your life or that you just want to reach out to. Like, really feel like you're closing up the year with a sense of full-heartedness. And don't let January 1st be like a day where you have to start new habits and have your goals and things like that set, because, especially this year, people just want to get out of 2020 and get into 2021. But I really encourage us all to bring this year to a very full-hearted close. And when you do look at your wheel of life, to just take in, where are you today, where are you now, and where do you want to go in the next year? What kind what does a 10 look like in those 2 or 3 areas that are super meaningful to you right now. And to also look at where were you a year ago in your life. Who were you a year ago? And to just, take some time to really reflect on that much, because looking back is probably the best fuel for moving forward. So don't rush into, oh, I have to have resolutions. Oh, I'm going to start these new habits. But do take some time to look at, where do you want to make some changes? And then also notice, like, who can you access or resource to make that happen? And that could be real-time people like a coach, a mentor, a therapist, a friend, a book group, and maybe it takes you creating that for yourself, creating a team to help you move forward. I'm all for that. So notice that, like, where do you want to put some energy and time to really focus in? If it's a category in your wheel of life, or if it's a particular person or a certain habit that you want to do, whatever change or refinement or enhancement that you want to make, I assure you will make a change in a lot of different areas in your life. So even if you just chose one, like, I'm going to drink more water, I'm going to get more sleep, either one of those, but the two together would make such a huge difference on your life. So, don't try to go too big too fast, because again, it's not trying to set yourself up for failure. It's really trying to set yourself up for success. And lastly, I just want to offer, from me, like, if anyone has anything they want to follow up on from Last60, Best60 exercises, totally free. Just ask me. Just ask me to have a call with you. I'm totally here. I started this and I offer these exercises, and so I expect to be used as a resource. So please do reach out to me if you need any support. I do coaching, high performance coaching, and that's actually a curriculum. So if that's something that's interesting to you, I'd love to share that practice with you. Have some practices that really help you. I teach yoga, but I do a lot of different practices. And if you're curious about that, let me know. A lot of them are energetic, not just physical practices. Like, it would bore me to do, like, a high intensity workout, like some of the famous, what do you call it, gyms that are out there. It just would bore me to do that. I need something that really integrates my body and my mind. So I'm really excited about what I'm up to, what the things that I do to keep me going. But find out what's good for you. And then also let me know what you are interested in terms of content. So I've been doing these videos for 3 years. I think I might do, my next video is going to be on January 12th, because it's the new moon, and that is where I'm going to really focus on kind of ways of planning, ways of building some direction on your next 3 months. And so stay tuned for that. But if you find these videos helpful, let me know. And if you have any ideas on other ways that you think would be helpful, let me know. And yeah, I think that's all I've got for you. It's been such a pleasure and an honor to be part of your Last 60 in 2020. I wish you the best in 2021. I wish you extraordinary and delightful moments that just take your breath away. And I believe in you, because you are responsible, resilient, hopeful. You are, proactive in your life. I know that you're going to have an incredible year. I just hope that you'll share the wonderful things that happen with me, that happen to you with me. Bye.